Hi, guys, welcome back to Creativity Incorporated. My name is Diana, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. Today's another episode for um, my building series, and this one is inspired by, not inspired, but is based on the it's I don't know how to describe my character sometimes, but it's a land in my story that is a like the dragons, but they're gonna be mostly feathered, not scaled. But I think my creature is gonna have a scaly, feathery kind of um, feather scale kind of texture. So in my head, I want to marry those two together, and this was my interpretation of that. And okay, so I started with scrapbook covers, and I found a very nice way to use both covers to make two books. So it worked out great. I just cut it in half, and the spine was created based on those folds, and it worked out great. So I just cut them in half, and here you see me working on what the design is. I have this way of working my corners out first so that I know what my book is going to be. Once I work out my corners. I always really like to work around that and it get kind of like the inspiration of how the rest of the book is going to look like. So the way I do it is like I fold my paper in half and then in fourths sometimes, so that I know how my book will kind of look like. And I'll grab that same paper and I'll work it many different ways. I will make one corner one way, make another corner one way. I'll get inspired and then make it different in one way or another. In this other case, I decided to inspire myself from myself before. So I have this book that has this really nice corners that have probably been one of my top favorites in my mind. I feel they need a lot of work. So, that's something that I'm going to work on later. But in this case, I wanted to maybe see if I can use them and get inspired for my new corners for this time. So I pretty much started by copying them sort of similarly, and then kind of do different variations off of that model. And it worked out great because even though my corners kind of look like it, at the end of the day, it didn't kind of look at it at all. But you can see how the progress worked on from the beginning to the end based on one inspiration that didn't look like it. So that's how I started working on my cover. Okay, so here's my trashed or picked up lumber. It's very old, so it's crackled, but I wanted to conserve that crackle on it. Maybe it'll make it even more interesting. So there were the first ones that I was cutting off, they were falling apart. This is how it was the tip was like broken off or whatever. But then it started coming out like this. And although I can still use this piece, I saw the benefit of maybe trying to keep this. And so how can I do it without gluing it? Because then it takes away from from the staining of it. So what I started doing, I put a piece of tape on it. Just regular shipping tape. And I think it's gonna work. Although I want it thinner than this. So I'm gonna put tape on it and try to do a little thinner than this and see if it works. Okay, there's my piece of tape. I was doing up to the yellow line right there. So I'm gonna do a little bit less than that. There's nails here and there's one in here, but right here, right before this tip on the bottom coming in. So I gotta be careful not to pass this, and then I can cut this block off and then continue and then cut where there's nails so I don't hit it with my blade. So I gotta be careful with that. But other than that, I think I'm gonna just hopefully, if I make them too thin, what happens is that it flies off and it'll get eaten by the blade and it defeats the purpose. So I want it thinner than what I had them, but not that thin that they fly off and get destroyed anyway. So we'll try that there. Okay. So it did work. You can see how thin this is compared to this one. And I feel like it didn't fly off even though it's so thin because of the tape. So because of the tape, it just probably fell over the weight of it. So I like it how it looks, how it, look at it, how beautiful. Okay, so let's, it may not even work, right? It may not even work for what we're going for, but maybe we can use it some way or somehow. But let's continue with that. Side note, I'm not no tree expert, but this was a very old tree. I'm so glad I'm giving it a new life, right? They demolished the house next door, and I picked up a few sticks. And the house next door was, I think, I don't know, about 100 years old. And so, could be a sequoia. We're kind of close to it. We'll see. Well, hi guys, how are you? The stuff that you just saw me doing is this. So this is, I just put them in this little bag so it doesn't mess up and make dust everywhere. But this is the slices. Now some of them are thinner, some of them are thicker. Yeah, my daughter had these like old changing like pads and stuff, but I think they're great. She was throwing them away. Can you believe it? I think this is gonna be great for me to work on today because it's gonna get messy. Okay, so some slices were thinner than others, some were thicker, but at the end of the day, I think they're gonna work. I believe you see some are thinner, some are thicker. But I think that is going to be part of the beauty of this project. Maybe it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, what the heck. The tape did wonders. It worked perfectly with it, and I'm gonna keep it till decide what shape to do all my stuff with. But man, I kept this piece because I have been thinking about doing found art, because you know my kids give me a lot of like little trinkets I find and stuff, and I think this is gonna be perfect. And also I feel like I want to count these lines. Can you see them? There's so many. I don't know. Anywho, that's for some other time. For now, I have this. So my idea was to use these as feathers, or something that's between a feather, that can resemble a feather, but could also resemble a scale, like from the serpent. So I'm in between a scale and a feather, and I'm hoping to get somewhere in between. Wouldn't that be cool if I can like marry those two together and also at the same time make it a little bit magical? So that's kind of where I'm going with. So, you know, for me to do that, at first I was thinking of doing it this way, kind of cutting two this way, but I like this length. So I think I'm going to first experiment with some of the ones that I think are not that great, and play with them with that. And then let me see, these are not too thick. I think they're okay. Kind of maybe use some of the thinner ones that I think are too thin to like for a book cover, like this one. This one might be a little too thin, but I do have a printer that can print on wood, so maybe I was thinking of using that to print on this wood, like little thin slices. But that's with my leftovers. But okay, another thing I want to try is, let me see, I'll try with this one first. I have ink. So I have two big printers. One prints on like a platen, and the platen comes in and out and prints on top of the platen. The other one's a roller one. That one's like 6 feet wide material, so media. So like I could put like a canvas that's 6 feet long, or I mean wide, or anything up to 6 feet. The machine itself is like 10 feet tall, 10 feet long, but the print media is 6 feet. So that machine leaves this as a residue. So every time it cleans all the heads, it leaves this. Now, sometimes it looks two-toned, like reddish, bluish, like against the sun, if you put it like that, because it's a concentration of very concentrated, I guess, concentrated inks that are blue, well, cyan, magenta, and yellow, and black. But my printer goes even deeper. It goes light black, light cyan, and light magenta. So it has all those tones in here. So that's why I feel like they marry, but at the same time they don't marry. So that's why sometimes it tends to look a little two-toned or tree-toned, because there's like different colors. But not all the time, and not in every media. So, but I want to try the wood, and we'll see where that goes. Now, this material, this thing is so messy. If I'm doing a video sometimes and you see like, oh, like here, like you see black dots on me, that's because I was most likely cleaning the machine, giving it a maintenance, and sometimes it's so messy that it goes through my gloves. So I want to, you know what, I don't even want to mess this thing up, so I'm going to do it on top of this thing. I want to try it on this wood first before I think of anything, because I don't want to put acrylic on it, because I want the texture to come out. At the same time, I can do stain, but stain, I don't know if I have black stain, and this works the same way. So let me get a brush that I don't want anymore, which this one might be good. Okay. This would be like great if you use a lot of ink, like to draw or anything like that. I could send you some ink if you want it. I throw it away. I had to throw it away because my machine makes so many of this. Like right now in my shop, I would have maybe 3 more of these, and I just threw away a bunch of it. Because it just is such a thing, you know. And I was so naive when I first started doing sorry, I get distracted. I get all into it. When I was starting to do the pens, the dip pens, I could have used this ink because this is waterproof ink. So that's why sometimes I have it in my hand, because even if I wash my hand, it doesn't go away till like later. So, and it's not alcohol either. It's you can clean it up with alcohol, but it doesn't dissolve with alcohol. I mean, it doesn't dilute with alcohol. It dilutes with a solution. It's like a different kind of solution. All these eco solvent inks, they're still used a solution with it. So they're eco-friendly. That's why you're able to throw it away, but they're waterproof and they're pretty strong. They doesn't really have a smell to it. That's why I'm able to do it in here, but you could use it with, like anything else, you can use it with the window open. I'm only doing glove because I don't want, although in hindsight I should have done it this other hand, but see, it gets on you and then like It'll stay on me for a while. I just did my nails. That's the whole reason why I'm using the glove. Usually at work it is like, whatever. Sometimes I do use gloves, but not all the time. Today, I am. Okay, so you see how I can still see the grain on the piece? So, anyways, while that dries a little bit, I want to talk about the shape that I want it to be. I want it to be that shape of kind of like a shingle, like a house shingle, but maybe a little tiny more shoe, like a shoe tip. So it's not like square, like a shingle like this and then like this, like a house, like that. I want it to be more like this and then like that, sort of like that. So with that said, I think I'm gonna grab my pliers and do it with that. It's not. I'm too eager beaver, so I'll work with it when it's wet. This ink will probably do good too with like if you wanna like re-soak the ink. I'm not sure. I've never tried it, but it could work that way. So I wanna do. Let's start with this shape first. Oh look, I like this side. That's what I'm afraid of. That's gonna go all over the place. So maybe like this. See, it kind of like if it had a stem, it looked like a feather. But then it also, like, if you pile them all together, it looks like a, what are they called? Scale from the, like a reptile. Right? A little bit. So, I want to do another thing. See how I went all the way across to the other side? These things are awesome. They're also good for fabrics because I can paint on fabrics with this paint. I'm like talking all kinds of good stuff about the ink that I throw away. I should like find good stuff to do with it. Anyways. So, I want to also experiment with another shape. Let's try this other shape. I want to see if I can do, let's see. This shape. Let's try the house shape. I kind of like this shape too. Wider. Maybe a little mixture of all of them. Most of the stuff that you guys just saw me do, I've done, a few times here at this channel. I have used a lot of air dried clay here, and it's probably one of the, other than leather, probably is one of the most things that I use here. Oh, that tape, when I take it off with the ink, oh my gosh, it's this amazing wooden texture that is just amazing. I'm just like not knowing how to use it yet, because when I put, by accident, when I put it on the paper, some of it stuck on the paper, and the texture with the glue stays on the paper, and it looks so good. Now, behind scenes, back behind the stage or whatever, I tried to, when they were wet, the ink was wet on the slice. I left one on top of a white piece of paper, see if the texture, the little residue of the ink would transfer as a stamp, to see if I can stamp the word grain, and no, it doesn't. So, in case you were curious, um, okay, this edge or trim or corner that I'm currently staining with the ink, um, those I made out of the air acrylic clay dry paper mixed with glue. What you didn't see me do, and I don't know why I didn't record it, is after I laid down kind of like the basic shape that I had on my template, then I put my template on top of it, and then I would cut out the residue from the template. So it was kind of easy. But then when I did the back, I figured out that if I did it on the plastic bag that I had on the side first, and then I would cut it there, I would just pick it up from the plastic bag and put it on the thing. And it was so much easier to do the back than the front. Now here you see that I did the stain on the front. It didn't come out good. I thought it was gonna be like darker than dark, but it didn't. So I had to go with acrylic. I didn't want to lose none of the texture, and I also wanted that two tone effect that the wood was giving. So I wanted that on the texture and all the corners that I did. But since it's, a different material, is more absorbent probably than the wood, it was just probably seeping all the way to the other side of the air dry clay. So I opted for acrylic. Luckily, I had matte acrylic, which is, completely flat. I didn't want no sheen to it, no um, satin or nothing, is matte. So I was very fortunate that I did have matte paint, and it turned out like it kind of goes the same. But I really was hoping that I would get that two tone or that shimmery feel that this ink gives me. So I just went ahead, and you see it right now on the front cover, how it's like chalky or white, and on the acrylic side is not. So I do end up covering everything that is the air dry clay with that acrylic paint. There's a big, big, big difference. And in camera, you see a big difference, but even in real life, there's even a bigger difference. So, yeah, I had to do it. So, here I'm gluing my leather. It's a scrap of leather that I was really hoping it fit, because, like, it is like almost exact, and it was a perfect one, and I didn't want to cut another piece and like all that nonsense. So here I am trying to fold the trim of it, the end of the leather, and have it I clean like, oh my gosh, I clean fold. But I don't know what I was thinking. And two, what I ended up doing was way, way, way better. Okay, as to the inside, I have this, is it, I don't know, it's craft paper. It's just black paper that I had from the school, because I don't know if I've done it here before. I've shown how I make the doors. I decorate for Teacher Appreciation Week. I decorate the doors of the teachers, of my kids' teachers, and they give me all kinds of materials, and so this is some of that leftover. So I have no idea. Um, it feels like that construction paper, but nice quality, that nicer than that. And Sorry about the planes passing by. Um, okay, so anyways, I was saying it's a little better than construction paper, but I'm using um, wood glue because it's a little thicker and it wets the paper a little less. When the paper gets wet, sometimes it becomes like yucky, and because this glue is a little thicker, it's not as yucky as um as the other one. I do put a little bit of water so it's easier to apply, but I don't know. It's just I liked it better for this project. I worked, as you guys saw, all that yellow glue that you guys saw me applying is wood glue, just in case I had not mentioned it before. And what I'm doing is, instead of bringing the front to the inside or the outside, you know how we usually wrap our books from the outside and we bring the cover in. I thought about bringing the cover out, the inside covers out. So bringing that out to the into the out. And I loved it. I'm hoping this is not the last time that I use it, because it's just the vibe that I was going for, that I was looking for, that I wanted from this book. Uh it made it so good, so good. It's like that dessert that you want to have again, but if you have it too much, it might not be that good. But if I do it and start doing it in all of my books, it might not be like the vibe. But I feel like I do want to use it, and I want to see what other contexts I can bring the inside cover out, and in what other ways. In this way, I brought I wanted to do silk or another fabric, but I couldn't find it. So I found this paper, but God knows what he's doing, because I loved how it turned out. I made it so that the cover, the little corner, the little edge that goes out to the outside, it's folded inward so that it has a nice crisp edge. Well, not so nice, but you know what I mean. It's a nice version, not like the choppy stuff that I do all the time, but it's semi choppy, not as choppy, but not as clean. Now, this is where the magic comes in. I have these little, I don't know, I thought they were, I heard them called like fabric or upholstery nails. Um, but they're very like, they're not finishing ones, or they're not. I don't know if people would put this in their furniture or their upholstery. I don't know. They could be. I've never. That's, I think, one thing that I haven't really done upholstery. I've done. I'm a carpenter. I'm a welder, but I don't haven't done really much. I'm a sculptor, but not so much upholstery. Just the typical staple. I staple in fabric kind of thing. But anyways, this is me, well, us dyeing paper. You see me do this technique where I kind of like wrinkle the paper, but in this case, I didn't. I usually would leave it wrinkled and just throw the balls around like wads of black. I mean, or any color that I use to dye. That's actually how I also tea dye my paper. I just blop it in. I never do it like straight, or not. I never gonna say never, but you know what I mean. I don't like to do it just straight paper. I like the texture. I like the crinkles and all that stuff. Anyways, that's me wetting the edges so that I can cut it to length, because this paper is way too long or tall. You want to say tall? Yeah, tall. And so I'm kind of cutting it. I don't want to cut it just from one side. I want the texture on both sides. So then I wet both sides. Plus, it gives me a darker edge. I think it's like um, a double tool, because it gives me a darker edge, and at the same time, it allows me to give it a cool texture when I'm cutting it. So, anywho, um, I mix a little bit of black, a little bit of water, and a little bit of glue, and this is another crazy thing I made for this book. And I don't know if two crazies make it wrong, or just two crazies make it even crazier. But um, I don't even know how to describe this weird. I'm tired of saying weird because I think that like some of the stuff that I do is just different. Not weird, but different. Maybe even like knocking on the door of artistic. Well, that would be ideal, right? But I don't know if I would go there. But um I'm gluing the edges of in this book I did 7 pages, I think. I think in this video I'm only showing five. Let me see, one, two. Did I show five? One, one, two, three, four, five, six. I think yeah, I do seven. So I do 7 pages, right? And then I'm gluing about an inch and a quarter of those together, right? Then before it glues, I roll it into these are not the shish kebab sticks. Well, they kind of are, but they're a little thicker than the bamboo shish kebabs. I think these are more like for when you do s'mores. Is that how you say s'mores? S'mores, one of those. Um, and it's a little thicker than that. So I'm just saying it's like about a quarter of an inch. So I don't put glue at the tip because I don't want it to glue on the stick. I want it to glue onto itself. So before I pre-roll it, kind of like halfway through, then I put the glue so that it glues onto itself. Then once I know it's at the proper uh, width, length of the book, so like that's the size of my cover, right? So I think my cover was 7 inches, not tall but wide. So I'm making sure that my when I finish rolling it, it's about 7 inches wide. And this is how I bind. Okay, so what we did before was how we put the signatures together, but this is how I bind the signatures, right? So, right? Would that be it? Yeah. So, I'm putting, I'm nailing down 2 strips of leather, to one to the top and one to the bottom, and they are long enough so that it holds the signature roll, the signature roll in place. So because I know there's a technical term for it, I want to say friction. No, it's something. It's not friction. It's kind of like something that's like when it fits tight so that and they're held down by actual like pressure, I want to say, something like that. So the 2 strips of leathers are long enough so that it doesn't allow for the signature roll to kind of easy come out of the book binding or the book spine. You have to like tug the whole leather out, and it's not like attached to it. It's just it's so put in there so tightly that I feel like it fits in there so good, and it gives you that flexibility to take out the signatures. And me, if you've been if you've seen any like three videos of me making books, I always try, not always because I have some that not, but for the most part I want my signatures to be removable, and I work around the idea in my books that my signatures have to be removable or exchangeable. Okay, guys, so here we go. Our last look. I am still considering, um, I don't know, putting some like dust, pixie dust or something on the, because I want it to look like feathers, scales, slash, whatever. And I feel like it's kind of right there in the middle, like especially because all that texture on the wing or scale part of the feather. Look, I love how it came out. See how it's like two-tone kind of thing. And then this came out so good. I love the nails. How like, it's not perfectly done, so it feels like, it's been through the rougher. And look at that. Look how that looks so medieval times looking. I picture the rolls looking more like, but I think I made too many. But at the end of the day, it's in there. I want it to be a little fatter, to be honest. I wanted it to be more paper, like maybe a little bit more like this, but it is compressed somewhat. It's not heavy, but it's not light. So it weighs like twice of a book would weigh. No, maybe about, like, if it was like fully papered, like maybe 200-300 pages, then it would. I kind of like that it's like this, like not circled. I that might be my new favorite thing for this year. So it's not like curved, and it's not like rounded. It's like, so I really like that. I even like the cracks in here, and I am considering, if I'm gonna add color here, I would add gold in there, like in the crack, and in all the cracks, because there's a few of them, and I would add gold in all of them, and I think it would look very nice. So gold in here, if I did the what is it called, the two-tone, like the little pixie dust thing. I forgot what they're called. But yeah, look at it. I really enjoyed how that came out. I lost like 2 days of thinking and pondering, because I didn't know what to put in the back here. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't want to do the same thing, but I had these left over. I still, like, I think I needed to do a couple more, but I love that I was able to do this, and it still has that two-tone effect, but because I put it in different angles, I think they're not all facing the same way. It reflects lighting differently. So I really like how this came out. Now let me get the base. Well, not my base, but like this thing, because I don't want to scrape it with the floor, and that's the whole reason why I made this. Actually, let's do that. And you know what? Let me put my thingamajigger to raise it up a little bit. Okay, so here we go. O-M to the G. I really, really loved it. And it's really practical the way it's binded, because is it binded or bind, whatever. Because at first I was struggling with it, and after seeing that still sticks, look, doesn't come off at all. Like, it doesn't, like, if I yank on it, I'll probably rip a paper first, then it coming off. I really liked how that came out. I like that it's like the most wonkiest, coolest, never probably done before binding, and it's so like primitive that it goes with the theme of being prehistoric, or like the beginning of binding, the discovery of bookmaking, all that process. And I feel like that is beautiful in its own, like, weird way. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this bookmaking progress. I really loved how the nails brought it to a whole new dimension. I really did think that that it's just made a whole world of difference. All those nails, how they look, I loved them. I loved how this curve, this is my favorite part of the outside, how the leather curved right here. Oh, so beautiful. So bellissimo. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that it came out great without looking macabre or, I don't know, scary. I think it came out mystic and well, I'm hoping it came across mystic and medieval rather than a scary or like demonic kind of attitude of it. Thank you guys so much, and again, till next time, stay safe, stay crafty, And if you like my videos, you know, I usually don't do like give me the thumbs up kind of thing. But you know, it's kind of important if I want to, you know, grow my channel, I guess, you know, getting some one of those thummy uppies things, and you know, maybe a comment like a happy face would be so much, very much appreciated. It tells the algorithm that we're here and that we're experimenting. Well, not we, but me. But since you guys are with me, I feel like we're as a group collectively being creative together. And I love you guys and appreciate all of you guys. And till next time, guys, stay safe, stay crafty. I love you guys. Bye.